Good evening, everybody. This is Dominic Huff here for the Dominic Huff episodes coming to you live in the Sandtown Pub this evening. You asked me to do YouTube. I found it, did it, got a Chromebook, sitting here with a familiar face, Lieutenant Charles Rambo, former at the Fulton County Sheriff's Department, who is now a public safety consultant and advisor, which is the perfect topic for the night show, which is public safety from a constitutional and holistic standpoint. So if you're out here in the metro Atlanta area, you can still come out here. We're right in the front of the Sandtown Pub. Everybody's out here having a good time tonight. So we're going to be sitting here sipping on tea, drinking water, eating some good food. Let's talk about some various topics at hand. How you doing, Rambo?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. I've always been a fan of the 10th Amendment and the Dominique episodes, what have you. I appreciate your candor in the community.
Yeah, we try to do what we try to do what we can do in the community to where it's all about doing things from a different standpoint. Where I see people do all this gossiping about celebrities, all this reality stuff. Where I want to provide real content out here for people to think. Because one of the things that I hear a lot of is in regards to public safety. Oh, we need to hire 50 more police officers. Oh, we need to get the police some raise. Oh, we need to privatize the sheriff's office. Oh, we need to abolish this. Oh, we need to have 10 more judges. But no matter if you spend all of that money, that comes out of your pocket as taxpayers.
Absolutely.
And people forget that. You can, the mayor of East Point, the former mayor of East Point, Ernestine Pittman, said the best. Taxpayers can have whatever they want to as long as they want to pay for it. You want 50 extra police officers? Okay, you stand right here in front of that microphone. You tell this council that you want your taxes raised, and then you go to your neighbors and tell them that you said that. So when they come down here, hooting and hollering, yelling and screaming at us, tell them this is what you wanted, and you had that community conversation. I don't think that we can arrest our way out the problems that the communities are having now. I think we tried that to the point it has not worked at all. And I think we also, too, have to stop making jails so comfortable. I see these jails are more worried about constitutional rights of inmates, but what about the constitutional rights of victims? And that's some stuff I want to talk about. Let's start talking about how can we address these problems, because we're having recidivism issues, we're having funding issues, we have economic development issues, education issues, which tie into everything. As a law enforcement professional, Randy, what do you think about this?
Well, number one, you started the conversation off very appropriately when you talked about essentially the recidivism rates inside of communities based upon the number of people who have been locked up in a cycle based upon community conditions. What I'm alluding to with that is, or as you alluded earlier, the old adage of lock them up and hide the key is just not practical anymore. It does not make sense. This is not an economy where people can afford to just send folks away to prisons. That equates to almost $55 to $65 per day if you're housed within the state and the county where you're locked up in. But if you're coming from a different county, a different state, then the rate is higher because prison now is a big business.
Yeah.
And the big business is now seeing that taxpayers cannot afford, based upon millage rates, what have you, they can't afford to pay for this anymore.
Absolutely.
So privatized prisons now see the big profit of putting pressures on criminal justice systems saying, look, we'll take them from you, but you need to be able to continuously push that market into our privatized sales. There are even states and sheriff's offices, or should I say county governments, that are being sued, saying, you're not keeping up your quota of folks inside these privatized jails. So with that, I am sick and tired. I'm not a candidate anymore, so I'll be a little bit more candid, a little bit more candid in my approach to this topic. I'm really tired of hearing folk, particular in our community, talk about mass incarceration. That's not a political issue.
That's their favorite buzzword is mass incarceration, but they don't tell you that's the end result of quality of life issues. To where when people are broke, people are hungry, they're going to commit crimes in the most part. When you look at the downtowns, the urban areas, back in the day in these suburban counties, you were pushed to the nearest urban city because they had the resources, the infrastructure to handle that. When it gets any people that work jails will tell you, summertime crime kind of goes down because it's warm enough to sleep outside. It's cold. We all want to be someplace with some heat blasting. And I've had a recidivist license years ago. When I needed a place to go, when I was out of medicine and it was cold, I found with the Georgia State police officers, and I went up and popped the shit out of their asses because I do also get locked up.
I didn't know we were going to get that candid tonight, but that's okay.
That's a one good thing about when you're independent. You can say what you want. And especially the boss, you're in charge too. That's like you own your own stuff. So I tell people once you're in charge, you ain't got to worry about no filter. But of course, I get picked up in these other partnering stations. They're gonna make me tone it down just a little bit. But we'll play around with that. But they pop the officer. You go to jail. You get your medicines. You got showers. You got food, and you got to bond out. You say, I sit here for 4-6 weeks. Time served, and the problem solved.
Well, when you look at mass incarceration, and we're both on the same page, when you look at mass incarceration, you have to look at who the mass is. Yeah. So why are you continuously? I've heard, John Ossoff use this as, we're going to deal with mass incarceration. But we keep dealing with mass incarceration like, that this is really a hot button topic issue for Black communities. We don't need for some benevolent Democrat or some benevolent Republican to solve these issues. Let's stop being a part of that mass. Let's get ourselves back into what it takes to build a community, and that's more or less these young males who are coming in and out of the Fulton County Jail, the DeKalb County Jail. I don't want to hear anything else about a jobs program. I want to hear more or less in terms of entrepreneurial spirit. Man, do you know that when I did work at the jail and I managed many of those housing units, I saw bright and talented young men who had raw skills, artists, musicians, writers, that had more time on their hands. Why don't you invest that into time on the street to building an industry for yourself as opposed to going to someone asking for a handout? And by the way, I'm not a Republican, but that's just survival. Being able to provide for yourself. And when man can do that, he is less interested about crime trends or, trying to make a hustle when he is actually make a living and building a community for self and his own kind.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about everybody wants to eat. Everybody wants to go home. Everybody wants the finer things of life. Whether you want to live in a good apartment or whether you want to live in a penthouse above a large city or all of home. Whatever life you want, you should be able to get that. But when people can't get that, that's when you look at certain things. Like case in point with our economic development trends. Most of these cities are building in the suburbs. They're building away from the local. So if somebody's on the bus and they have to get on the bus, go to the train station, take the train ride to where they go, then they get on another bus, or sometimes they have to get on another bus on top of that bus, and they got a 2.5 hour ride to go flip a hamburger, making minimum wage. You know how bosses are in those positions. You're 1 second late, you've been late too many times, and then you're gone. So now this person has lost their job. Now they got to come all the way back to the 3 hour ride back to the hood. You may got a baby, you may got a crazy girlfriend. Now you got to figure out how you're going to make money. So that's when you start seeing the underworld of thievery and debauchery and all that foolishness, where I can make $500 in a day, and it takes me 2 weeks to make that flipping hamburgers. It's kind of like when they see that good life. I ain't got to struggle no more. I ain't got to sit a whole 2 weeks with my phone off now. I ain't got to worry about bumpy rides to get the food. So that's where the economic development departments have to step their game up of attracting business, economics, and commerce, and making this environment suitable for people to go into entrepreneurship.
Well, and that's what I'm looking at. And if any of our constituents from the city of South Fulton are looking at this live feed, congratulations to the fact that we did become a city. Congratulations that we now do have a government that is in place to make public and political policy decisions. But unless we have a solid economic base outside of warehouses, I attended the Fulton County Commission meeting today where people were there opposing a warehouse development district that was supposed to happen off of Fulton Industrial. If we don't have quality jobs, and I'm not saying quality jobs that someone else created for us. The developer sat there and specifically said, we're going to have numerous jobs. Well, tell us what numerous is. Give us a number and tell us the type of jobs. Because if it comes back to being, just something of the service industry,
Yes.
or, the janitorial, the cleanup, or what have you, those are not, I hate to use it, but as Karen Handel said, a working wage or livable wage. These folks need.
I can't stand that term "local wage" to be blatantly honest, because what is a local wage? Harold here may need $12 an hour.
Well, good to see you, give her for.
I may need $10 an hour. The business owner may need $15 an hour. You may need $20 an hour. So as you see, there's no universal living wage. So I didn't hear the debate, but I had a contest of what Karen said. But I always laugh when we come up with these terms of living according to who, according to what standard. Some people may think living on Camden Road over there by Greenbrier is a standard for them and more power to them. Some people may think living in Buckhead is their standard and more power to them. So how do you determine this living wage?
Well, that's the key thing.
Yeah.
Are politicians determining your wage, or are you determining your wage by your skill, knowledge, and ability to do something for yourself? Then it doesn't become a livable wage that the government dictates.
Right.
It becomes a standard of living that you establish for yourself based upon, what your trade is, based upon what your profession is. And we as folk have to elevate ourselves up from just being in the service industry if we're going to continuously say, we are dependent upon government and government officials to fight for jobs for us.
Yes.
We don't need jobs, we need professions. And the only way to profession is to get yourself into an educational foundation that's going to support what you do so that you can determine how your community is going to thrive. Otherwise than that, if you don't have true economic or community development, and that doesn't begin with building buildings or even establishing trades. Self-improvement deals with that economic base, because what you want for yourself is what you want for your community. Or as Winston Churchill best said, empires are built based upon the state of one's mind.
Absolutely. Because one things that a lot of candidates talk to me about is economic development. What can we do to revitalize these communities? And economic development is such a booming term. I told people economic development is not a fast food restaurant. It's not a dollar store. It's not a gas station. It's not a wing shack or a little boutique and you go buy some food. That's not economic development. Economic development is like this shopping center right now. They're now paying a tax rate that's higher than it was when there was nothing here. And these businesses are providing jobs, they're providing amenities to the community, and it's going to have a cross-pollinating effect that's going to bring more development to that business. So where you ever heard the term of anchor development, when they use the terms like, when you see these Krogers or these Publix, they're the anchor, and a business wants to be there because they're going to siphon off the traffic that Publix is going to bring, or Kroger's going to bring to that place, or the riches, or the dealers, or whatever. But when you look at a community that's blue collar or white collar, one thing I would give some recruiters I have talked to that would never come on the air for obvious reasons, they have mentioned, and I'm sure Harold can attest to this, that we don't bother people that look like us. We don't bother people that are in our same predicament. We go across town and get our best, then come back home.
Let me respond to that. And a lot of times, what they say from that, can I get some water? Can I get some water, please?
Thanks. Yeah.
One thing that I heard them say from that is because they bother people in the same community and the same economic situation they're in, they aren't getting anything. So that's why they rather go get across town with people that have more and come back to their communities as well. But a lot of times when I talk to I don't want to call them a good word. What I'm basically saying is a lot of times they won't pick people in their own community because they live with them every day.
Yeah.
So they'd rather pick somebody in a different community where they don't have to see them every day and that won't have to deal with the situation. That's one thing I've been told.
And to cross over with that is economic development and economic growth really depends upon one key thing: public safety.
Right.
Businesses are not going to come and businesses are not going to grow in an environment where there is crime.
That's true.
So with that criminal element, whether it be black, white, Hispanic, whoever it might be, when you have good holistic law enforcement approaches, whether you're dealing with a sheriff's office, whether you're dealing with a county police department, or a municipal, or a cross integration of the three levels, you've got to have law enforcement that is assertive, but at the same time is effective. They have to be able to make good cases out of those criminal cases that deserve to go in the criminal justice system, but also to give interventions to persons that might need a second chance. But you cannot water down the public safety function to being a social worker or to being a catch-all, to do all, and wonder why crime is still out of control. Policing, sheriffing has its purpose and function, and that is to get rid of crime. How we do that, depends upon the temperament with the community, which brings about community policing, but nonetheless, again, keeping it within the economic scope. You've got to have good community policing that can root out crime so that good businesses can get established. Good businesses, black or white, are not coming into anybody's community where there's no appreciation for rooting out that type of foolishness in their neighborhoods.
Now that I can piggyback on it. That I agree. I don't care what you build or what kind of high dollar restaurants or high dollar retail spots or high dollar food chains that you put in the community. But people are not going to come and eat in that community if they don't feel like they're going to be safe. If they feel like they're going to the car is going to be broken into, they may get robbed or they may get jacked, something like that. It does not matter. That's the reason why I feel that public safety foremost, more so than economic development. Let me say, for instance, my community, which is Southwest Atlanta. Okay, now our number one crime over there is auto larceny. And larceny, we do have some on robberies, but it's not a lot of major hard crimes. But when people feel, okay, well, I may go over there and get get carjacked or something like that, a lot of times they're not gonna come. They don't feel safe. So if they don't feel safe, you can put a Olive Garden in our community all day long. But if people feel like they're not going to be safe, things of that nature, then they're not going to come. So that business is not going to thrive. And once that business fails, I feel that's going to be a domino effect to other businesses as well. Okay, they went over there, they didn't make it, so why should we come over there? So that's why I feel that public safety is so important, because if you have a lot of crime in areas, that's going to scare people away.
And that comes back to, and I don't want to dominate the whole thing, but we're on a good roll.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm just moderating.
The holistic part of that is government and governance. Government are the people who you are elect. Governance is the people inside of your household. So when you take good governance of your home, then you don't have to worry about police responses or what have you, or your child coming to the Fulton County Jail, the DeKalb or the Clayton County Jails, what have you. Look, we don't want to see your kids. We don't want to foot that bill. But then you cannot, and I'll say it, and I know I'm crossing, liberal and conservative lines and what have you, but in communities, you are responsible for the conduct of your child.
Correct.
Right.
You
Correct.
cannot blame the government, you cannot blame the church and anybody else for failing you. That is a parental responsibility. So if that sounds Bill Cosby like, which Bill possibly got him in trouble, then I'm sorry. I'll get on that road too. Because there's a level of responsibility that comes with community, and it starts in the home, not in city hall.
And we can't police what happens in the houses, because that's one of the things that messes up a lot of people is we so caught up in thinking, well, if the government did more, but then you complain about big brother overreaching. But then when the government does more, then we know the government doesn't do a good job of half the stuff it's supposed to do. And it's only so much tax dollars that's supposed to go around. So all these programs like more parts, more police, more all this stuff, that's what it's going to come up to it's going to come up to the issue of who's going to pay for all of this. In a community with no businesses, that's going to fall on those rooftops, the houses. If you rent, your landlords will pass it off to you through a higher rent if it's an apartment or a home or a one-bedroom shack. So as long as you starve people out, we will always have these issues. And I look at when it comes to our police departments and our sheriff's offices, wherever we want to call them, we are having an issue now that we're in a what I call an over-policing stage. Downtown Atlanta has, and I said this back on the show, like it's a deja vu, the office around the corner. We got Georgia State Police, the AUC Police, Atlanta Police Department, Fulton County Sheriff's Office, Fulton County Marshal's Office, Rural Congress Police, the Capitol Police, all these police agencies. But you still got all that fuckery going on down there. So if you got all of this policing and you still got homeless people showing the penises to people and assaulting people down there, I don't think the problem is we don't have enough officers or enough manpower. I think we're looking now that the county jails, even when I talked about this in Birmingham and Nashville, they were never designed to be mental institutions. You're sending people to these jails who have obvious mental issues, and the sheriffs across the country are standing up saying, look, my institution wasn't designed for this. This is why my budget's going up, because now not only do we got that to deal with, I got people who got all these health issues that require this medication. I got people who are on dialysis. So if you look at a budget for a sheriff's office, medical is a big line item for them now.
Well, my commentary is not as an analyst, it's not as a no disrespect to you, as a journalist or what have you. My commentary comes from 28 years of actually dealing in the law enforcement world. So when I said about Bill Cosby earlier, the difference between me and him is that he was comedian activist. I'm the guy who actually sees this on a day-to-day basis in communities. But now, as you said it more specifically, in jail.
Yeah.
Here you have homeless vets that are not necessarily broke people. They're getting a check.
Right.
But because of their post-traumatic stress disorders,
PTSD,
thank you. These things happen with them. They get ostracized from family members. They don't get the support that they need, so they'll turn to the street. But nonetheless, they do have resources.
Yeah.
What happens is, and this is no disrespect to any of my council friends or any of my county commission friends or any of my state friends in the state house, but what happens is that all these laws are now made, these expectations are now established of quotas. Yes, quotas do exist. Don't let anybody fool you.
Pretty much.
Quotas do exist of clean up the homeless problem here, and here, but it's less sexy, Mr. Huff, to write what's known as a 1013 or a report of peace officer that allows for you to take that person to get them some mental health. The sexy thing is to charge them with disorderly conduct or criminal trespass so that your statistical numbers can go up and you can justify your budget to the city council for more manpower, for more resources. But that doesn't affect the police agencies. That affects now the sheriff's office in the jail, because now that is the repository for all of your state court crimes. Person is not going to make bond anytime soon because now they figure he has a mental health illness. Where he should have actually gone to Grady or an emergency receiving facility, he is now stuck in jail for a quality of life issue, as opposed to what is the quality of my mental health. These are folks that we sent to damn war, that they can't come back and get decent treatment for having fought in theaters of combat. Now they come right back here, and you can't even go and get decent treatment at VA. Now you got to rely upon that from your county sheriffs. In the meantime, your charge is what holds you there. So in all honesty, I believe the sheriffs, as the chief law enforcement officers of the county, particularly with inside of their jails, I've seen that they're holding mental health accountability courts, veterans accountability courts, what have you. But some of the sheriffs really should be at that back door, checking these charges with the judges at the first appearance and saying, this is not a crime. This is a mental health issue. If you don't take them back, we will cut them loose simply by saying, cases drop. We will sign the 1013 or the order to apprehend and take those persons down to the mental health facilities where they belong. Unfortunately, a lot of those have been shut down, but jails are overcrowded. We've got to force the state back into funding these particular facilities so these guys can get the help. Otherwise, the jail has now become the new mental health institution.
See that the jail is going to evolve now, because before it was the homeless shelter. Now it's
homeless to mental health. Yeah. And now even, watch this, no disrespect to those persons, but now even HIV clinics. Yeah. Because the guys cannot afford the medications on the street. What do? Get a quality of life crime so that you can come in and get the necessary medicines that you need. Now, I know I'm going to start a firestorm controversy, but guess what? That is an actual fact. When you go and look at the number of persons who come in on misdemeanor charges that are infected with HIV, that's nothing to play with. But then again, at the same time, that's a very expensive process that now you got to come to jail, get that pack, and then you get 2 weeks of supply of medication to last you when you get out. When that's over, what do? You go back out and commit another crime. So we're not in the criminal justice business anymore. We're in the healthcare service.
Oh, yeah. Because one of the things about it, this is why I harp on the topic so much, like you mentioned earlier, we're shifting the problem somewhere else. In the case of Harris District, we did a cleanup at Greenbrier Mall, which is a mall in Southwest Atlanta for those who are not in the Atlanta area watching me right now. We found 4 homeless camps in that area. And that's something nobody wants to talk about. And that's not including the homeless camps I know about on Dutch Paul Parkway, which is...
It's a real big homeless camp right behind Atlanta Metropolitan College.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like a little small city back in the woods, right behind the college.
They got a road system back there and everything, because that's where they go. They kind of hide there where they know their stuff cannot be followed or taken care of. So now people say, oh, downtown's cleaning up, downtown's great. Well, we haven't done anything. I can tell you where all those people are at now, because I've had people that I remember when I was in college that used to work the streets downtown. And I'm seeing in East Point now, down to the old National Highway now. Right. I'm seeing around Greenbrier Mall now. Right. And because people have been asleep at the wheel in Southwest Atlanta, I told folks there's some stuff coming down the pipe that I don't think we're ready for. What do you think about that, Harold?
Well, I think one thing, I think the homeless rate in Southwest Atlanta may grow a little more once Peachtree and Pine closes, because right now Peachtree and Pine is, I think, outside of Georgia Mental Health Hospital is the largest concentration of mental health patients in the city of Atlanta. I mean, 'cause it's a lot of people with mental issues that are homeless that live in Peachtree and Vine. There are also some areas that I've had constituents, people call me who live in Southwest Atlanta, who live in Southwest Atlanta, who have homeless people living behind them in the woods. Ms. Doss is one person. She's worked with them, the city, trying to get the homeless person taken away. But I mean, the person is pretty much way back in the woods. So, sorry, did y'all want some meat?
Yes, sir. Oh, you go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
And with the homeless issue is, because we got barter, we got transit services and things like that.
Correct.
The issue comes from now. There are people, and we have the varying degrees of homelessness too. We have people who are functional homeless. I may get the terms wrong, but so if my sociologist friends out there,
Right.
please chime in and correct me. Functional homeless are those who have jobs, but they have no place to stay. They're living in their cars, they're living in their street, they're living on a park bench, but they still have a job that they gotta punch in and punch out at.
Right.
Then you have those who are homeless that they can't get resources. Like, how you in the other job? You have no cell phone, you have no address. So those are people who are able-bodied that want to work, but they don't have the means to be able to get what they need. They can put for job applications now.
Well, in Atlanta and even Southwest Atlanta, I mean, you have a lot of quote unquote working poor.
Yeah.
People that work every day, get up and go to work every day. We can't even afford to live, even pay their bills or anything like that. And I mean, that's a shame. So for them, and then you can take a lot of different households if you don't know someone's situation. A lot of people out here today are one paycheck away from being homeless. So they get laid off on their job, they may be homeless within the next 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, you just never know. It's a lot of different situations and scenarios.
A lot of homeless advocates talk about that too. The Northwest Community Alliance mentioned that about 2 years ago. They had their homeless panel discussion, and this woman ran this big homeless group in Midtown Atlanta. Talk about how many people miss barter bus away from being homeless, where they get fired because they're late again to work, or you don't make that last transfer and you got to wait an hour, so now you're late for work. Or the things like that, or you're one sick child away to where your child's sick, you got no child care, so you gotta stay home with this baby with an earache because the center don't want to deal with a sick child. So those are a lot of the issues that people are on the cusp. But now it used to be, and this is the thing I tell a lot of feminists, this is no longer a man's problem anymore. I'm seeing a lot more homeless women and children out there.
There are a lot of homeless children in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Not only that, not only is there a lot of homeless children and women in Atlanta, you have, just more water, please. You have a lot of kids who go to school in Atlanta, but the only way they get a hot meal every day is at school. That happens a lot, and I've seen that happen a lot throughout communities in Atlanta. And I just think that's ridiculous. That's the reason why a lot of people even favor year-round school. That can help the nutrition part of students that's in school today.
And we put so much stress on these governmental agencies to where we got the school issue, to where the schools are having to provide meals now, and then the after-school programs. We're having the jails now that we're expected to do the mental health issues and the HIV issues, to where, as we're seeing with the economy going more digital now, to where we're now in the gig economy. And with the gig economy, you got people doing little side work, like Uber, Lyft, doing jobs off of prisons, not those type of jobs, but legitimate jobs like graphic design, doing some cutting some grass, doing some writing a term paper or something. So you're having to piecemeal your way to prosperity. And when you're looking at our college population, these kids now are graduating with debt, with no job to back. You got $50,000 worth of loans. You got a job paying you $25,000. Something ain't gonna add up, and you still gotta live and do whatever. And now, even when we look at law enforcement, when you're bringing these businesses to these communities, as we talked about earlier, nobody's gonna go to a community. For all the men out there that when you're dating, you know how you had that nice restaurant in the hood that's real great food, great service, and you meet this hottie, you want to take her there, and she's excited about going to this restaurant. And Jim told her where it is. He said, hey, it's a great restaurant. Then you can pick her up. She's looking good in the car. And she's like, so where we going? So, oh, we're going to this restaurant. She's like, in that neighborhood? I said, yeah. It's okay, but you know they got good food there. You just try to just bypass all the quality of life issues. She will protest and boycott. So she's afraid her purse will get snatched. She's gonna get catcalled. We'll get the car stolen. Our wallets will get pickpocketed. So that is hurting economic development. Case in point, I use a local example. Metropolitan Parkway. They have that bowling alley, that fun zone thing over there, Metroplex. We're trying to do an event there. You know, most of my people said, I don't want to go to Metropolitan Parkway. I was going over there. Why can't we go to Kennesaw? I said, well, why are we going to Kennesaw for a South Fulton-based group to go bowling? But dude, have you seen Metropolitan Parkway lately? By the time we get done bowling, we will all be out at the bus stop trying to catch the buses home because the cars will be going. So that we got those type of issues.
Well, if you pay attention right there on Metropolitan Parkway, they've had this advertisement or billboard that's saying for the Zone 3.
Yeah, the Zone 3 police precinct.
The Zone 3 police precinct coming soon. Well, that's been way overdue for what Metropolitan Parkway, for those of us who know what that means, Stewart Avenue back in the day, you know, that was a hot crime area. But still, it does not mean that the neighborhood does not deserve quality public safety the same as you would in a Buckhead, or Morningside, what have you, Virginia Highlands. That area deserves just as much public safety attention with or without crime. In addition to, it's close to the airport. And in my opinion, Metropolitan Avenue, again, that basis for economic development should have come up at least as a corridor for the airport, just as much as I feel about Old National Highway, what have you. So again, where you don't have safety or where you have nothing but second-rate entertainment in the name of strip clubs or what have you, then you know where are you really going to get community? Because you know that comes from neighborhood involvement. People wanting to come and patronize businesses. So what's stopping you from having a Longhorns on a Stewart Avenue? Crime. Yeah. What's stopping you from having a quality shopping area that complements the citizens of that neighborhood? Crime or disorder. So again, until we get good public safety leadership, whether that's coming from your sheriff, whether that's coming from your police departments, what have you, you know, it does need to be focused on not the politics, but the public safety needs of those persons. Because at the end of the day, you know, I said this earlier to a group of firefighters, you know, so long as we're in public safety, as long as you got 7 people making decisions, there's going to be politics in the process. Oh, yeah. But those who are in those positions need to come with the stewardship of being responsible, as opposed to being, you know, power grabbers who know nothing about public safety policy, but are trying to make those decisions, being council persons or even as county commission or even as state reps. And I'm speaking more or less, again, nothing to defame anybody who makes good common sense policy decisions, but for folks who have absolutely no idea or clue of what government is supposed to be about.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one of the biggest things I talk to people who are law enforcement about, you know, like going to the comment you said earlier. A lot of times law enforcement officials get apprehensive with journalists, commentators, because they feel a lot of them speak from that perfect case scenario, that textbook example, that, oh, if you did this, it'll all make it go away, or we just tweet this and tweet that. But there's so many intricate details in between there. And when you get bureaucrats in office who know nothing about these issues, speaking of these issues, they just guess and whatever have you. They just do things that satisfy these little constituents. But the one thing that scares a lot of people, this is why I challenge Black Lives Matter. I told them, after they started fighting each other, you do know You don't need law enforcement experience to be a sheriff. As long as you meet certain requirements, you don't have to, you don't have to be a practicing attorney. As long as you got a law license, you can be a solicitor or a DA. So if you feel that these officers are not doing the jobs, then what's stopping you all from putting up somebody to be the county sheriff? They don't have to have law enforcement experience. They can get them in the office. They go to sheriff school for a few weeks before they take over office. Then you got to get the post certification within the first 6 months of the office. They meet all of that. They can stay in the office for the remainder of the term, and you get them reelected. And I have challenged people on that. And I even did with my libertarian friends in DeKalb. Told him this year, I said, you run for sheriff of DeKalb, I run for sheriff of Bull. I said, we both run as libertarians. We got to go get a bunch of signatures. But if you're really serious about this, and you want to have that conversation around the Constitution and around getting these communities back to where they need to be at, why not? He don't have no law enforcement experience either. What would you say about that, Rambo?
Well, you said the key thing. Me and you, we have lots of great agreement, but the point of disagreement that we're having at this portion in time, live in front of the Huff Nation, is I believe while the sheriff, like all positions, is available for all persons to run for, I am a strong component that the sheriff's office does have somebody who has law enforcement experience coming in, because this is a job specific that's directly tied to public safety. County commissioners, so forth, so on. These guys deal with a variety of easements, abatements, trees, and what have you, environmental issues. Sheriffing, in my professional assessment and opinion, requires somebody who can step into that position with a common fund of knowledge that can run the jail, the court system, the law enforcement, investigations, because essentially by law, by constitutional standards, he is not just the chief law enforcement officer, but is understood by the General Assembly as being the basic law enforcement officer of that county. What that means is the supplementary powers of policing, if those go away, policing is not necessary. Policing is not required. Sheriff is required by law. So you need somebody in that position that can fill in that role and keep it rolling, but you need people who also understand the constitutional value of why they were elected. It ain't got nothing to do with law enforcement. It ain't got nothing to do with the jail. It ain't got nothing to do with investigation. It has everything to do with protecting the constitutional rights of your citizens. That is the basic foundation of the sheriff's office since it's been founded in America in 1776, particularly in Georgia. So when you get to the constitutional basis of what the sheriff is supposed to be doing in his county, protecting his constituents, educating them on their rights, but more or less those citizens understanding that we run out of time. So when you get to the constitutional basis. You still alive?
Still alive.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
I hit the wrong button.
Okay. When that sheriff steps up to the plate and takes his place as chief law enforcement officer, I guarantee you, county systems begin to change. Everything else begins to fall in line with that, because essentially this is the most powerful position in government. Thomas Jefferson best said it, that he was the most important officer in county and in the executive authority of county and state government. Why? Because he has to uphold and honor the Constitution of the United States as well as the state of Georgia.
Now, I'm glad you clarified that, because that was the answer I asked one of the people who didn't ultimately qualify for the office last year, and when it came to the issue of the requirement of running for that office. If you wanted to run for sheriff, then you could have easily did it. But a lot of people, he was saying, well, his argument was, a citizen can run for position. We know it's a popularity contest. If he or she wins, the question is, who's going to be on this person's command staff? does this person have the nuances to hire a chief jailer, to hire a law enforcement commander, hire a ward division, put all these people in place within a short amount of time, and then you got to be able to leave because then on January 1st of that term, at the stroke of midnight, ain't no you get there 8 o'clock in the morning, you got to be in that parking lot ready to walk in that office at 12:01, ready to strike. And he felt that a civilian would be so lost and so confused because he said, I know this agency, and we ain't gonna mention the agency on there. Once they know you got somebody with no law enforcement experience, no nothing, oh, everybody gonna be in your ear, telling you all sorts of stuff, being your friend, misleading you, and then you gonna be in the news with all these scandals because people say, "Oh, I got this under control," but then you got stuff going on behind your back.
It takes you 4 years if you come from the outside of an agency to come in and just learn it, and that's just the basic foundation. You're trying to apply what you learned in sheriff school into an agency that may have been dysfunctional, not mentioning anyone in particular. We're talking about any sheriff's agency. All right. Number two, while you're in sheriff school, now you have your command staff that's going to implement their own agenda based upon the culture that now has influenced them. That while the cat was away, here the mice now playing with the little kittens who are trying to learn. I'm not saying kittens, I'm talking about the command staff.
Right.
If you have not chosen a solid command staff that takes direction from the elected person, then they're going to try to cut their deals and get friendly with those particular persons who will be friends to them. Take that however way that you want to. Oh yeah. So with that, you have to have a person that understands, number one, the constitutional purpose of a sheriff. Number two, he has to be a person that wants to be loved, but more feared. Not fear in terms of I'm afraid, but because of his character and his strength says you don't do anything without Sheriff such and so knowing exactly what's going on. Otherwise, by the time you come back from sheriff school, your agency is just as bad as the one that you inherited. And now it's time to start running for the position all over again because election time. See?
Yeah, because 4 years goes real fast in public office.
Very fast. With that, again, coming back to the constitutional form of it, I'm a strong proponent. I believe in working with police. I believe in working with federal, state, and local agencies. But at the end of the day, I am a strong proponent of constitutional sheriffs standing up with some constitutional backbone for the people of their county. And I guarantee you, when the sheriffs operate within inside of that structure, you'll see things begin to change immediately, as you have seen in Cobb counties, Clayton counties. Douglas County will always be the legend of Sheriffville, quote unquote, based upon the legend of Earl Lee.
Yeah.
This guy still rules the county from the grave.
Yeah.
He's been dead almost 15 years. That's because it's not the arrogance of the position, it's the power that's entrusted into it. And you don't know what that power is? The power is the 11th Amendment that says, so long as I did this job morally, legally, and ethically, you can't sue me because I am sworn to protect this county and I will do it by any means necessary. So long as I've not violated your rights. That's why everybody really don't like Sheriff Hood, because he is the untouchable figure when he has done his job appropriately, correctly, and morally.
That brings me to an issue I talked about on my Facebook page about Dade County. Back in 1966, the Dade County voters voted to abolish the sheriff's office. And when you start enrolling with these constitutional officers, then it becomes a precedent for another county. What we did in the Dade County, why did we need to get rid of our sheriff here in Orange County? Or then we need to do Duval County. To where if you allow the one county, that's a threat to us all. And that's one thing I give the Georgia Sheriff's Association. Even though I kind of got sick of when they was defending Myron Freeman, his government. I'm like, well, if you like Myron so bad, how about y'all take him back to rural Georgia and you let him be your sheriff? He's costing us too much money down here. But I digress, though. We'll talk about that later. But now there's a
Myron, I don't have anything to do with that.
I do. We're right around the corner from Myron's house. Speaking of Byron, his own house got broken into. He was sheriff. That's a whole other story as well. When it comes to that, now we're looking at, okay, now that we kind of ease this around, and I warned people years ago as a high school student, when they was messing around with the corner, oh, we need to abolish this and make this the full position. And I told folks back then, this is a test so they can climb up the ladder and get the other positions. If you say nothing about that, we'll move on over here. And then we'll keep moving on over there. Where you will come up with special provisions of where, oh, counties of this population are exempt from having this or exempt from having that. So you have to the devil's in the details with legislation. And I've seen this stuff before, to where they're trying to figure out how to abolish certain things right in front of your eyes. And they will convince you that you don't need it.
Well, Dominic, I got to interrupt you on that, but just real quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes the devil ain't in the details. Sometimes the devil will tell you it's the legislature that's in the details.
There you go.
So don't stop blaming me. I don't do everything.
Yeah.
It depends again of what the motive of why the person got involved. I just wanted to throw that one out.
Okay.
I approve that message.
Yeah, approve that message. And speaking of the motives in the office, I remember a person told me, well, Dominic, do you know the history of the Dade County Sheriff's Office, to where the office was pretty much a gang in itself, where they would literally set people up to rob them? You had gang members working for the sheriff's office, to the point where you saw the sheriff on the scene, you saw the hauling ass because you didn't know whether they was going to come and deal with the criminal, or you better hope that the gang, that they wasn't part of the same thing, they was going to take care of you. And mind, this is the 50s and 40s. There were no cameras, no social media. There was no word against theirs. And that's back in the days they believed in taking the long way to jail. And Florida got all that ocean water, and the sheriffs had boats. So they're saying this, something legends I've been told, and some things I've read online. So now a legislator wants to bring this office back and say, okay, well, we should have never allowed this vote to happen. If Sheriff Buchanan was that much of a shithead, then the voters should have dealt with Sheriff Buchanan instead of us dealing with it for them. And that's one of the things where legislators have to be careful of, that you have to stop trying to referee local fights. And a senator here said that when it came to the city of South Fulton, Josh McCool from Columbus. He said, folks, this is a local issue. We're not the Fulton County Commission. We're not the city of Atlanta. We're not these local governments in Fulton County. We're now having to pick up a fight that really should belong back in Fulton County, not down here. They take that fight around the corner. They can fight all they want to and hash it out because they know the nuances better than we do. We have to figure out now whose word to take when we cast the vote. So that's why I tell people you have to be careful of certain things that ended up starting to happen. I told us that was the case. LAPD has documented corruption. Where was the move to abolish Los Angeles Police Department? Yeah, granted, we got rid of the Compton Police Department. When Atlanta police shot and killed Catherine Johnson, where was the move to abolish Atlanta police back then?
When you had corruption in the mayor's office,
Yeah.
where was it to abolish the mayor's office?
Yeah.
When there's corruption in the county commission, where's the move to abolish that? That was one of the articles that I was featured in with Creative Local, where I discussed that issue when they were talking about abolishing or otherwise having the sheriff's office of Fulton County appointed as opposed to elected. I will say it, I said it as politically correct as I could because of the environment I was then, but I'm going to say it as openly now. That whole move, not Dade County, Fulton County, was race as well as politically motivated, more or less because white Republicans could not win county-wide races. So what would you do? Let's go ahead and try to divide off the county. And if you remember the question that I raised at that forum, when you create Milton County, are you going to have your sheriff elected or is he going to be appointed? I don't think so, because the state requires that you have an elected sheriff, not an appointed sheriff. There is case law that is established from up out of Greene County that specifically says that the sheriff's office is not subjected to polling rules. So no decision you can make at local government that can dictate to the sheriff's office in terms of how they're going to operate. But they wanted to do that as a test and litmus with the Fulton County Sheriff's Office and we were able to stand up against them. Now, what happened down in Dade County in Florida very well was a political move. It was very much a political move, only because of the fact that the big problem with sheriff's offices is that they are not accountable to government. They're accountable to the citizenry, and they have an awesome amount of power to get things done. County commissioners would rather see sheriff's office go away. City councils, mayors, county commission chairpersons would rather see that position go away.
Right.
So what do? If you can't control it, then you get one of your buddies or someone from a system that will come in and run it and do it kind of watered down. I'm not making any puns at anybody in particular because it happens all across the United States. But the move is to try to take away this power by weakening his role and his autonomy before a constituency that is already dumbed down in their politics. When I say dumb, I don't mean stupidity, but they are not about what the role of constitutional governance is. Your constitutional governance is there to protect your rights at the county level. That's why Thomas Jefferson again said the position is the most important of all executive functions in the county as well as in the United States. And that's what that position was created for, and that's one of the reasons why political policy would rather see it go away.
If you can't control it.
So I'm hoping that the Dade County measure can pass because it is the only county sheriff in Florida that is based upon an appointed system of the sheriff. Everybody else has either the sheriff's office or either the city police department. But what I love about Broward County is they run the entire county from water patrol to fire services to emergency management because the commissioners understand we're not elected. That's not part of our constitutional role. Our job is to do what? To fund. That's it. It is the sheriff's political policy, since he runs for that position, to now dictate what that public policy is supposed to look like. So therefore, he alone is responsible for those particular operations.
It reminds me of Mississippi. Mississippi has that same policy where you really see a county police department because they came against that call. You tell them sheriffs are willing to county police unless you got a county, unless you got a county where it was a sheriff that a whole bunch of people didn't like, that's how they eased that on in there. But even then, it was so much maneuvering to where them legislators said, look, this applies to your county only. We ain't gonna leave us open-ended. And it takes a minute to do that type of moves because a lot of those sheriffs there, a lot of county commissioners say, we don't want to run the police department because now there's more responsibility we got to do. When stuff happens, guess who's gonna call us about their crime? Us. You need to call your sheriff, you bring his or her phone off the hook, and let us work out parks and all that other stuff. That's the Mississippi mindset, as I call it, and I support that.
Let me say this part, and I've not said it publicly before.
Yeah.
I said it halfway and borderlined it when we were at the state capitol doing the so-called Blue Ribbon Commission. Fulton County cannot afford to have its sheriff appointed for a racial reason.
All right.
Who will protect the hard-earned fought rights of the citizenry in terms of constitutional protections against old Jim Crow style laws that are now being recreated, in the legislature in different ways? So with that, when you look at the majority of the counties across the state of Georgia, again, this is not racist. This is straight being a representation of your county. Black folks in Fulton County, for the last portion of what we hold on in terms of political strength, maybe 65% of the vote, and maybe that's even dwindling down some. I could be good. Fulton County proper. Fulton County proper. You have voting rights issues. Sheriffs are responsible for protecting the voting polls from violence. Back in the day, Guess what sheriffs did in the 60s? They were trying to do everything to keep you from coming to the crimes.
Yeah.
So now you have someone who is there protecting your 15th Amendment right. Back in the day, and even to this day, the system of peonage, of being brought to jail because of the fact you committed a quality of life crime. Now you were leased out to a company that was willing to pay your bond or your fine, and now you became that particular property. Ain't too much different today with the prison. The pipeline of school to prison of 17 to 25-year-olds that are making up our jails. Where are the sheriffs demanding that trials be held under the the Sixth Amendment, speedy trials to get these kids from up out of jail? Because they too have now become dumb and ignorant to the processes. I'm not calling that negatively, but you're dumb and ignorant to what your constitutional rights are. Therefore, you've got a court system that now will slow down trials, and you can't even get your day in court. By the time you do get your day in court, what have you got? You've got what they call it, a reduced sentence or
Time served.
Not time served. A plea deal. A plea deal. Your next plea deal basically now sends you down the road, and you ask the guy, "Well, what are you charged with?" "I don't know." "Well, what's your bond?" "I don't know." "Well, how come you don't know? My attorney didn't tell me." "How much did you pay your attorney?" If you paid him $1,500 each time he showed up in court, you better walk away with some kind of knowledge about what's going on in this process. So it takes us right back to that mass incarceration. If you are part of the mass, then you are part of the problem.
And I'm glad you said the way how you said it.
And I'm speaking constitutionally.
And I'm going to piggyback off that book of constitutionality to where I had a guest on my show a couple of years ago. I forgot his name, back in 08. He called himself the traffic ticket killer. And he had mentioned in his research, 90% of all traffic tickets are paid out, settled out. If we was to up the number of people who would go to court for traffic tickets, that would make the whole court system trash on its head so fast, it'll make everybody's head spin. They so you see, right, paying the fine, come to court like an idiot, and they go on. The 10% they get away, they're fine with that, as long as the other people get no ideas. In case of court, I was in court in Atlanta years ago, and of course, Atlanta thought being a dumb nigga, they thought, oh, you just another one of them. But they saw I was speaking from case law and constitutional law and saying how they was out of order, and folks behind me in the mornings taking notes and asking and looking at light. They heard me up dismiss that court and told me to hurt to get out of courtroom. I mean, I never been square out of courtroom so fast, and I looked back at that. I said, no, look, y'all were scared that there was some people taking some notes, and they started saying the same thing. Now, of course, I got escorted out the building. So I don't know what ended up happening from that day. But when you get escorted out of the building, you just don't go back in there.
Well, they didn't have a problem that you knew it. They just didn't want everybody else in the court to know what you was talking about.
Yeah. And that's why I tell people, stop fighting municipal state. Traffic is a state charge. It's summertime, it's heat time. Heat stands for high enforcement against aggressive traffic. So when you get these little bullshit traffic tickets, bound those over the state court. Municipal courts hate it, and it's legal that you can do that. And that way, the city or the county gets none of that money. Secondly, now you're going to make the state address that charge, that issue. By the time you go to the state level courts, the states will look at this and we don't have time for this. That's where they'll get you a deal, lower for too fast conditions, and get the hell on. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm just telling you the things that I have witnessed and I have observed. And I talked to a major one time and told him in our meeting that we had a few months ago about I am tired of these bullshit arrests for traffic. I'm not impressed. You come to a community meeting, especially a meeting I'm hosting, and you're telling me we go 200 traffic tickets. You will get disrupted right then and there. If you're not telling me about quality arrests and ways of how you're stopping actual crime, now, I don't want to hear about how much money you make for these bureaucrats, and then you want to come back to me after you giving my people tickets and say, well, they're cutting your dental plan. First, they don't say, well, fuck you in your dental plan, because you made my people pay $3-4 for tickets, and you you wasn't worried about them then, so tip for that. So, and people say, well, Donald, you're mean and you shouldn't say things. But one of these days that you say this, at the end of the day, taxpayers, you pay for all of this stuff. The government's not doing you no favors. Everything that's happening, you're paying for. The courts, the jails, the police department, the guns they have. That's stuff that we pay for as taxpayers. And that's why one of the things that in these elections this fall, and people will be scared. My question is, they will really be scared. We pick certain races that have live events. If you're not coming at me with realistic solutions that show me a comprehensive understanding of product, I don't want sound bites. I don't want little cute acronyms. I don't want little what you saw on the internet or what somebody else said and you want to adapt to it, especially with policies. We now have to start having the conversation up. Because to be honest, in Atlanta, I'm sick of hearing crime every 4 years. Every time we have a mayor's election. Oh, we got crime. Okay, you said that in 05. You said it in 05. You said it in 2013. Now you said it in 2017. Am I saying we not have a crime? No, I'm not saying that at all. But apparently, from the times that I remember it being said from 05 up to now, something has not been done. And whatever has been done has failed. And when you know, where I'm from, in the sports world, the business world, when you fail, you're fired. So think about that for a minute. Harold, Rambo, y'all got anything y'all want to add to that?
Well, I think every election crime comes up because crime is always a constant. I mean, that's something that's going to always be here. Crime has no boundaries. Crime has no city limits, no town limits, no county limits. I mean, if somebody does a crime in one county, they could go over the county line and create another crime. And I think that's the reason why crime is always a big issue and it's so important. Because so many times, a lot of people that are creating crimes don't necessarily always live in the area that they're living in. They come from other places, creating crimes. They go other places, but the area that they go and create crime in has to pay for those places and pay for the problems that the people that caused the crime that did it. So I think that's one reason why crime is always a really important thing. Because as long as you have income instability where you have the haves and the have-nots, you're going to always have crime because the have-nots going to always feel left out. They're going to always want to get themselves where they need to be.
He addressed it on the crime issue. Well, let me see if I can come back to one of the other issues that you were driving is, you ask people for their public safety policies and their community development policies when they're candidates. And they've rehearsed very good sound bites. They've, sat down and been told by their handlers and their campaign managers of what to say and what not to say. The unfortunate part is that same puppetry art politics that goes on behind campaigns doesn't work well once you become the elected official. Because most campaign managers don't know public policy now. They knew how to get you elected, but they don't know how to get your agenda rolling. So now you're caught into the quagmire when something happens and the community now asks you for accountability. Where's my sound? Where's my strings? You don't have them anymore. You don't have that. So we have to be very careful and vet the people that are running for these positions, from governor, sheriff, to county commission, to city council, whatever that was, a coroner. It doesn't make a difference. You, as the people, are responsible for the person that you put in office. I can always tell the quality of the mindset of the candidate by the people who put him in office. So if you got somebody who comes in and doesn't know what they're doing, then that tells me you have a constituency that did not know how to vote. That's not rotten grapes. That's not sour grapes. That's based upon the crazy state of affairs that's going on in the United States of America, from the White House all the way down here to the Fulton County Courthouse, even into the city of Atlanta government, into South Fulton government. Every government is affected by who you put into office.
Oh, absolutely. We have to stop voting based off popularity, based off how cute somebody looks, based off relationships and all that. You got to vote for people who are well qualified. And I've talked to a lot of people that always want to pick my brain about running for office. And I do a special broadcast that's talking about just different things and candidates across the country. that are hitting me up. First thing I tell people is if your local community does not know who you are, sit down. Don't even waste your time. Because a lot of these communities, particularly if you're in a close knit community, they want to ask you, the first thing they want to ask you is, well, who are you? Where have you been? What are your accomplishments prior to the year before you decide to run for office?
Well, I think it's important if you're running for office that you should be well versed and well known in your community first.
Yeah.
I mean, if the people that in the community that you live in do not know who you are, or do not know what you stand for, or do not know what you care about, then you haven't done your work as a person for the community before you even decide to run for office in the first place.
And Harold hit the nail on the head. Because if you're not, if your own community doesn't know you, then how can you go down to City Hall, the county government, or the state house, or the sheriff's office, wherever you're going to, and adequately say, I have the pulse of the people? Because when you're voting, and I used to be elected as a student government person at Georgia State University, and one of the policies I always had, and people got upset with me on, is I told people said, well, why did you vote against my issue? I said, I did not vote against your issue. My constituents voted against your issue, and me being a representative of those constituents, I had to vote based off what they want. It wasn't about what I always wanted. There was some things that people said, well, you said you wanted this, but your vote said otherwise. I said, well, I had to go back to the people who hired me. And they did not like the job that I did. Then guess what? They was going to tell me, well, Dominic, thank you for your service. We're going to go a different direction. And we did it in corporate all the time. And we started saying that in elected office. And we're okay, thank you for your service. It's time for us to go in a different direction.
The only thing that I will offer as a not a disagreement to anything that you guys have said, but having run for political office before, I appreciate that there's a line's work for the candidate to get himself recognized and known in communities. But voters also have a 100% responsibility. That if you have a voter registration card, you also have to know who the people are that are running for those office. So that means you got to come and engage those persons and find out about them. One lady asked me, and I kind of responded back, and we took it off as a joke. Thank goodness. Well, how come I don't know about you? Because you haven't looked me up. I've been in the community. I've got a website. I've been, passing out literature or what have you. You have to get away from this arrogance of being a voter that, we got to come knock on your door 3 times, 5 times, 6 times just to earn your vote. A true super voter knows exactly what the issues are, who the candidates are before they even go to the poll or even come to a meeting. So, there also has to come a point of voter education. That voter education doesn't mean the Democrat Party educates you. The Republican Party educates you. That's a responsibility that comes along with the civic duty of voting.
And I agree, because voting is a huge responsibility. And when you're not voting the way how you're supposed to be voting, you can only get mad at yourself. You can't get mad at these people for doing what they said they want to do. Because some of these people get elected with no agenda. You don't know what they stand for. They got pretty pictures on the flyers. They had a whole bunch of money threw all over the place, flooded the radio ads, flooded the TV ads, and you voted for this person. Now they're up there, and now you're asking, why is this person not doing anything? Well, you didn't ask them. When I see them, I gave out emails and phone numbers of candidates that was running a special election down here recently. And some of the candidates had the nerve to tell me to take that information off my website. And I said, no. If you are running for office, then Buttercup, you better get used to these people calling you and emailing you. Just like they do with me as a community leader. I get calls and stuff, they in my jurisdiction. Well, what are you going to do, Mr. Huff, about the water department? I'm making a development, but since this person wants to know about the water department, that's what is your issue? I'm going to figure this out. Because people look at you as you're a man of woman of means. You go figure it out for me. That's why I'm calling you and younger than you. I'm sure Harold can relate to this, probably as many phone calls I get about constituent services.
That is so true. On my business card, since I'm running for District 11 Atlanta City Council, it's my cell phone number. It is the number on my phone, or number on my business card. When you call that number, that's my cell phone number that rings. It's not a voicemail number. It's not a number where answering service answers. It's my cell phone number. And with me being Zone 4 Community Liaison to Major Griffin, My phone rings about 7-8 times a week. I get several phone calls a week, and I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, I answer questions from public safety to economic development to whatever's going on in the community, or someone may even call and ask me, what's happening what's going on this week in the community. I don't have a problem talking with anyone. I'm always available. I'm always open. And I've been asked so many times, what's my platform? And I don't have a problem letting people know economic development, public safety, and blight. I mean, I've been working on blight since I've been Atlanta Planning Advisory Board Public Safety Committee Chairman. I've been working on blight for the past 3 years, trying to work on things in my area in Southwest Atlanta, and in the city of Atlanta, period, altogether. Like I said before, I'm all for economic development. I don't feel that we should have to go to the west side of town or Vinings or Buckhead just to eat at a good restaurant. We can have the right hand in all communities in Southwest Atlanta. But what we have to make sure we do also with the economic development is having where people come to this area to patronize our area and eat in this area and spend money in our area and feel safe while they're doing that. That is the number one thing we have to make sure, because if they don't feel safe, they're not going to come.
Oh, exactly. If it ain't safe, it ain't clean, they ain't hungry. And that's why we have to support our own local businesses. That's why we're out here tonight at the Sandtown Pub at 5819 Cameron Road in the city of South Fulton. Leave the address to say Atlanta 30331 at the intersection of Camp Creek Parkway, Cameron Road, right in the shopping center with the CVS. It said this used to be the former JR Crickets in this business. Was the woman that owned the JR Crickets converted to our own independent concept, Sandtown Pub. Miss Frederica, thank you.
Safe.
And it's safe. Thank you for hosting us, and we're going to continue to do our part to support your business. It's owned by a Black woman, so those who are looking for a great place to hang out, definitely come over here, Camp Creek, Cameron Road, right before you get the Fulton Industrial Boulevard. We're real close to Douglas and Cobb County areas, so over here in the West Metro Atlanta area. So I thank you all for listening. A lot of you all are watching on Facebook and the other platforms. I'm checking the numbers. So I think I spoiled you all this live feeds. You all are sitting at home instead of sitting down here with us. But I promise I'll start doing live feeds. I thank Harold Hartnett. I thank Charles Rambo for coming out to get time about their busy schedules for us to talk. The other couple episodes are back. You've asked me to get back on the air. I'm going to start doing this more often. Try to get back on the weekly schedule. I got a lot of things to do. And I'm hosting a business show on Sunday. So I got another YouTube channel for that. So I'm going to be hosting that from my office right before we do the second Monday event. So I'm getting back to the media swing of things. Again, if you want to get in contact with me, email me at dom.huff@tempmedia.co. Temp is spelled out. That's dom.huff@tempmedia.co. Rambo Hartnett, y'all want to give out y'all's contact information for anybody's listening?
My contact information, you can contact me at my cell number 770-833-1733, or you can email me. That's Hartnett, HARDNETT, for the word for, FOR, the number 1111 at gmail.com.
Thank you, Harold. And Rambo?
Yes, I'm Charles Rambo. I own Rambo Solutions, LLC. We are a public safety as well as a corporate trader in all issues dealing with HR management as well as supervisory training for your company. You can reach us at Rambo Solutions, criminaljustice.learning.online, criminaljustice.online. Let me say that again. criminaljustice.learning.online, criminaljustice.learning.online. We're participating in different forums to help raise community involvement with law enforcement to try to pave a better path for good community policing. Last thing that I'll say, my phone number is 678-438-1195 if you would like to reach us and for us to give you a free consultation. Last thing I'll say about Dominique Huff, I've known this young man for a long time. You don't have to like him. You don't have to agree with him. But support him, because he's out here supporting you. He's speaking up for issues that people otherwise are afraid to speak on. This young man has a backbone and fortitude that's unprecedented in his generation. So please continue to watch him on these episodes as he continues to bring you good news and good information that you just won't get anywhere else in this millennium.
Thank you, Rambo, for those kind words. And I'm Dominic Huff, signing off. As you know, I'm bringing you guests. And when I bring on guests, I bring on relevant guests. I don't bring on guests that I need people to back me up. Y'all know I can talk for 3 hours by myself. I want to bring on more subject matter experts, such as Rambo and Harold, that come talk to us so we can elevate the conversations. And we're doing more events on location. Like we said, we have to start speaking up for the things that we want. It's time to stop bitching in these Facebook groups. It's time to stop complaining about what needs to be done. Damn, it's time for us to do it. And I'm going to end on this note. Mayor Cassini of Atlanta, Georgia said one thing to millennials. 70% of all GDP in this country is happening inside of cities. Stop complaining about the White House. Take over a city. And I've been saying that for years. Take over your city. Take over your county government. Take over my college. Take over your student government. And once you start doing that, that's just phase one. Then we got to start working.
And I strongly agree with that because the elected officials that affect you the most are your city and county officials. The president only deals with you from a large scale. If you want somebody that you can deal with that can have an impact on you every day, that needs to be a local, county, and elected officials.
Well, absolutely. And that's the person that you want to see when you're out and about, somebody that you can touch, somebody that you can feel. Until next time, Dominic Huff, to the next episode.